Hello, and welcome to Lab Gab, a live stream variety show that showcases events, destinations, and different talents across Second Life. I'm your host, Strawberry Linden, and today on our show we have Caledonia Skytower, a longtime resident, director of Seanchai Library in Second Life, and a theater artist in the physical world who brings much of her talent and creativity to our platform. Welcome to the show, Caledonia.
Happy Friday, Strawberry. Thanks for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, before I actually start with a bunch of questions about your second life, I just wanted to know how you're doing. How's your family? Are you all okay and safe? I know it's a crazy world right now, so tell us how you are.
Oh yeah, we are. It was a little. It continues to be a little scary. I am a part-time caretaker for an elderly parent, and we live just south of where the hotspot came up here in Washington State. And it's been a little crazy. I also, in the physical world, work for a state agency part-time, and it really has been insane.
Yeah.
But I have never been so glad for Second Life as I am right now.
Oh yeah, you and me both.
That's
Um,
right.
so can you tell us how long you've been in Second Life and how you found out about it and what made you join?
I've actually been in Second Life for 12 years. I came in through my work in arts advocacy. I was, and I came in specifically around theater, um, and rapidly realized that at that time, in 2008, people were doing exactly the same thing that they were doing in the real world, which is they were like building a box and putting chairs at one end and putting on plays. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous because the resources are so different here. One of my training, my educational training was in design for the stage for theater and opera. I'm a set designer, and I've become a lot of other things since. So I kind of rapidly got kind of bored with that and moved off in other directions, and that's all she wrote. And what I was amazed at was how, and I continue to be amazed at over 12 years, is how virtual worlds primarily break down barriers around proximity.
Yeah.
That's the real strength, and people are motivated by the social interaction. And I have gotten to work with so many wonderful people who I could never catch the COVID virus from because I've never been in their same airspace. And we've been building projects and creating things and sharing information for years now. So I have to admit that when all of the COVID stuff started, I went, "Whew, well,
Yeah.
I'm still connected. I'm still connected, and I've been doing this for over a decade."
Right.
Um, and I just happened. So somebody had recommended Second Life to me, and I just happened to kind of fall in love with it.
Yep. I feelings mutual, definitely.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to look in the description of the video, of the YouTube video, also the Facebook video. We have a bunch of links about you in there. So we have two different blogs listed, Judith Cullen Stories and Scenic Designer. Can you tell us more about that? Is that your work in the physical world?
Well, yes, and one of the things that I learned quickly as an artist, being primarily a scenic designer, that's where I started, is that if you aren't as an artist, if you're not organized and if you're not all over the details yourself, everybody will eat your lunch for you. And so I rapidly became a professional organized person, and that has led to work as in production management, in arts administration. I've done some work in fund development and things like that. So I kind of came in with that whole toolbox into Second Life, including the set designer part, and I literally tripped one night when I had food poisoning and I had been sleeping too much and I didn't want to I wanted to try and stay up. I opened a new account because Caledonia is not my first account.
Oh,
I opened Caledonia and I decided she was going to take up residence at a place that I had visited in one of my previous accounts. And that I was going to just sort of make a start there and do something different. And I went to what was then the West of Ireland estate, which was a charity estate. I think it was 5 to 8 regions back in the day, and fell in love there. And I'd just been to my favorite freebie store, and I was parked over by a tree on the edge of a region, and somebody, actually Shandon Loring, who is my co-organizer of Shawnee Library, opened an IM window to me and said, "Hi, my name is Shandon, and we read stories here at 7 o'clock every night." And I was like, "Wow, okay." And so I actually came back to check it out.
Mm,
And again, that, as they say, was all she wrote. Um, that was literally on Caledonia's first day.
interesting. So that's how you're bringing your work into Second Life, I see.
Yeah. What
What
I found really,
part? Yeah, go on.
oh, I was going to say, and what I found really rapidly was that Second Life enabled me to synthesize all the things I had done professionally.
Yeah.
I was able to apply all of those professional organized person skills, obviously able to build, able to tap into the storytelling elements that become sort of your meat and potatoes when you're producing. And then out of that, out of the constant access to literature and presenting, as Seanchai Library presents literature live 5 to 8 hours a week and have done for over a decade. In that constant immersion in literature, I started to write, and that's where the stories came from. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, it's I'm a very kinesthetic learner.
So Second Life actually helped you become a writer.
Oh yeah, no, Second Life definitely helped me become a writer because that wasn't on the list. I'll tell you. I've gained a very different appreciation for stories by having become so immersed in them. I mean, initially it was all very much for me about the presentation because it was a unique way to tell the story that was theater-like, but not exactly.
Right.
Um, and then and like I said, it really is. I don't think there is a single, skill, professional skill that I have that hasn't fed into this. So it all kind of comes together in a virtual world in a way that it certainly doesn't in the real world. It couldn't in the real world.
Right. So you're the director of Shawnee Library. So what part does the Shawnee Library play in all of this?
Um, ah, it's a. I'm still continually fascinated by the breaking down of barriers, and I'm really conscious from my work in arts administration that there are people out there that don't have the same access to cultural resources
Right.
that I have, for example, living in a fairly populous urban center. That there are parts here in the United States where there are miles and miles between miles and miles. I mean, I'm a West Coast person, so I get that whole miles and miles bit. Um, Even in my own state, with things like library systems and things, there are counties that have had to bond together because the bricks and mortar of maintaining their own systems is too difficult. It's too expensive.
Mm.
And realizing that there's a way to engage people in cultural aspect. I was cultural offerings, whether it be theatrical or musical or literary, um, without them having to travel, without anybody having to park. Um, that you can actually reach out and be engaged with people. It's not, being a dyed-in-the-wool theater person, I have to say it's in my best interest to say that it's never the same as being at a live performance in the same room.
Hmm.
But it's the next best thing to do
Especially
to
these
doing.
days.
Yeah, especially these days.
Yeah.
Um, so so with Shawnee Library, I fell in love with the whole presentation of literature and the idea of keeping it, of making it as immersive and as dramatic as possible without making it theater. I'm one of those lunatic people who is always asking, uh, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? What's the background on that? And so I think that the virtual world allows us to immerse people in literature and to give them a choice, a self-selection, whether they just want to enjoy the story or whether they want to know more about it. And an immersive environment is a great way to engage people in that, where you can align resources so that people can click on things and ask questions and really explore a piece of literature really thoroughly.
So Shawnee, I feel like you've already answered this, but Shawnee Library
Possibly.
recently celebrated 12 years in Second Life of bringing
Mhm.
works of fiction, historical fiction, fables and tales and classics, original literature, short stories, all of this. How long have you been the director of Seanchai Library, and what are your views on Second Life as a medium for the storytelling genre?
Well, Shawnee Library was founded by Derry McMahon, who is still in Second Life,
Oh,
um, and
yes.
and Derry's a real world librarian, and she became emeritus in I think 2012, and I took over as the official organized person then. I think the thing that's great at this point, when you've been in Second Life producing the way we have for 10 years, you hit the 10 years and you're no longer new, and you have a certain amount of legs underneath you, and you have to look ahead, I think, in terms of organizational endurance or sustainability, and say, okay, so but what are we now,
Right.
and what are we going to be? Because the terribly trite saying is, if you're green, you grow; if you're ripe, you rot.
Hmm.
So where are we still going? What are we still exploring with storytelling? And I think that's actually kept us vital. We still have some presenters that present exactly the same way we did a decade ago. It's stand and deliver. But we also have people who build environments that sometimes encompass our entire space. We have done the special builds. We produce the Dickens Project every year, which is a full region that allows you to explore a whole variety of things, but it's all focused around. It features A Christmas Carol, and but it also then spreads out into talking about Victorian England, Dickens London in specific, about the rest of the Dickens canon, and we all wrap that up in pulling together our community of colleagues on the grid into sort of one mad month of celebration. So we've also produced, some short series, like we did Murder on the Orient Express, and we just finished Death on the Nile, where we created immersive sets. Oh, Hound of the Baskervilles, where we've created immersive sets, and presented the original words as they were written, to an audience. So we run a whole gamut from. We run
Amazing.
the whole. Sorry, somebody's trying to friend me. Um, It's like, this is not the time, dude. So
Bad
we're
timing.
I know, it's timing's everything. So we run the gamut from, I think, from the simple to the complicated, and I continue to want to push that boundary of what can we do that we can engage, where we can further engage. A lot of that we do on the Dickens Project, at the moment, where that's really kind of our frontier of where can we push forward. We also have property on the Kitely grid, and one of the cool things that we do is, we actually, on Thursday night, Shandon Loring um, presents in both grids, and he uses I don't think he's using ScreenLeap anymore, but he puts up screens so that people who are in Second Life can see the Kitely audience, and people who are in Kitely can see the Second
Oh,
Life audience.
that's pretty
And
cool.
and they have a script so that we actually cross chat across the grids. So the people in Kitely can see the local chat typed in Second Life, and likewise. So we actually talk across the grid. And so
Interesting.
we're really kind of pushing those boundaries in terms of finding, and it's amazing how just being able to type in local chat excites people, and talking to somebody else. These are relationships that are only typed, you know. But it's really great. People love it. They really love it, and so we continue to look for ways to push. We sometimes our boots get muddy, and it's not good, and sometimes we find something new that really can enhance what we do. And I think as long as we can keep saying, "What if we did this?" And giving it a try, that we'll continue to have a sustainable presence.
It's great. I actually went to the Dickens Project back in the last winter when you had Patch Linden on reading with you guys, and it was so interesting, and it was so much fun following you guys around the region and while you're reading in different areas. It was really entertaining, and you guys
It's
had quite a bit of a crowd too.
We've really built up a constituency around the Dickens Project, and specifically around the story tours.
Yeah.
We that project started out being on a parcel, and most of what we did was stand and deliver. And I think it was thanks to John at Cultivate Magazine, actually,
Oh.
that 4 years ago we moved on to half a region. And once we were on half a region, we went, hey, wait a minute. We have all this space. Why just sit people down? Let's try. So we tried it as an experiment, and it worked so well that when we moved to the full region, we were on LEA regions for 2 years, and then last year the lab very generously sponsored us. On the full regions, we designed the whole region around the narrative of A Christmas Carol, and so it's designed to be toured, if you will. Um,
It was great.
and people love it. They really love it. Dagmar Kohina does
Hmm.
sound effects, and she does a lot of our audioscape design. Aoife Lorefield is say the master of effects. She's the person with the most scripting experience, and so she has done a lot of things. And our current focus has been her focus has been on developing interactive games that can happen on Dickens, things where people can do some sort of quest hunt type things within the construct. But also, we continue to customize Scrooge's house. So that this year it did things like the knocker, went from being a lion to being Marley's face, which I loved that knocker.
Oh, that
And
sounds like
also
fun.
we were able to make a Christmas present, all the things that show up with Christmas present, all of the there's a whole that's the food porn. Um, that's the food porn chapter in
Hmm.
Christmas Carol. All these things that appear that Christmas present appears in, she was able to make appear. And we were
Amazing.
also able to move to use a HUD to control Scrooge's bedroom, so it went from present to future, to the future that he visits in yet to come.
Yeah.
So we continue to customize Scrooge's house because it's one of the few locations on the region that kind of exists in multiple timelines, and so we do that. And Gloriana Martins is our absolutely fantastic landscaper. We all do a little bit of landscaping, and then Glory comes through and makes it prettier, and
It's a huge
um,
project.
and atmospheric. And we work with a whole fleet of people, actually, that are people that are sort of our affiliates in the community. It's an interesting thing. We've discovered over the years that sometimes what seem like the most direct correlations, like I read books, you read books, aren't actually the most productive collaborations. Some of our most productive collaborations have been with people or organizations or just creators who it doesn't seem on the surface like we have a lot in common.
Right.
But we actually end up doing it. We do a collaboration with Idle Rogue Productions. We have collaborated with Elite Equestrian. We we collaborate with some other sort of literary based presenters. We've sort of tried for years to be a resource um, for sort of independent storytellers on the grid, and to encourage. I've always had the feeling that if you really want to succeed, you need to help other people
All right.
succeed. And so we've, as an organization, tried to do that. I really am going to stop answering this question now.
No, it's good. It's good. Lot of details. So, I mean, you're involved in a lot of huge projects. Another huge project, a few years ago, you orchestrated an educational outreach event using The Great Gatsby, where you presented readings in an immersive environment in collaboration with a theater company that was presenting a stage adaptation in the physical world. So, can you tell us more about that and what were the challenges and also the outcome of that opportunity?
Well, there's that's sort of a work in progress, the Explore project,
Okay.
and we've worked actually 3 times with Tacoma Little Theater, which is a community based theater here in Washington State that actually is celebrating its 102nd season coming up. They're over a century old, which in this part of the country is kind of a thing. Um, is oftentimes when you're working doing a production, will develop an educational outreach either to schools or homeschools or just because you think there is a great interest space, and you'll develop a study guide. And the thought was, what if we developed a dimensional study guide that people could walk into? And what if we made available to people access to the source material so that for all of those nutcases like me out there who always want to know all the stuff behind it, where did it come from, and what were the times like, and what did the source literature sound like, and we know why is the book so much better than the picture, and you know
Yeah.
all of those influences that go into an adapted work of literature. Um, and Chris Surface at Tacoma Little Theater has this same passion. And so we actually did three. The first one was Great Gatsby. We did a Christopher Durang play, Sonia, Masha, and Spike. Actually, something else. I never get the title right. I always want to call it Misha, Yasha, and Vladimir, but it's not. It's Sonia, something, Masha, and Spike. And then we did Of Mice and Men. That was the last project that we did. And
Oh,
and we've not, because they were around the celebration of their and actually, it's the same model as the Dickens Project, which is it's an environment built based on a narrative that has to which we work in links to things. I think I was in Of Mice and Men, for example. You could walk into the bunkhouse, and there were panels that linked to information on all of the television and film adaptations of the piece. In the Great Gatsby. Still remember this because I was building it when the Seahawks were in the playoffs, going to the Super Bowl. The year they won. Um, in the Buchanan Mansion, Daisy's mansion,
hmm.
in The Great Gatsby was built around a shell of the inside of Tacoma Little Theater. It's still there on the Kitely grid. You can walk
Oh,
in. It looks like you're walking up to this big brick Georgian mansion, and you walk in the front door, and you are in a virtual rebuild of the lobby of Tacoma Little Theater, and you can actually walk into the theater. You can sit in the seats, and the stage set for their production of The Great Gatsby is there. So so uh,
wow.
it was cool, and I still think it's an idea with a lot of legs. The barrier always is getting people in world, getting people to take the leap of stepping into something that looks like a game that they're not really sure of. That's always kind of the biggest barrier, is getting people to do that. I have to tell you, during Mice and Men, um, I was in the lobby at Tacoma Little Theater at a computer station. All the people who were my age and older all stood about 3 feet behind me and went, "Oh, that's really cool." But the 10-year-old whose dad was in the play was sitting next to me in a chair every night trying to get the mouse from me. He had no problems about going in and wanting to look and see what was in all the buildings and walk around and etc. So so I think that's the nut we continue to try and crack, is accessibility. How accessible without making all of these things that you have to do, and all these things that you have to learn how to do, how to get people in and get them to engage
Amazing.
with a three-dimensional study guide,
So, what
essentially.
if what if there's Second Life residents that want to get involved in these productions? How can they do that?
Um, uh, uh, what's the best way? We actually audition people.
Ooh.
We do, because with no offense to anybody whose heart is set, um, just because you have a microphone doesn't make you a reader. And we teach. We have some fairly sort of rigid guidelines. We have Caledonia's rules. Caledonia's rules include, read what you love and listen, listen, listen. And we teach workshops at intervals about how
Oh,
to be an interesting and engaging reader, how to make it interesting. And I think the main thing I'm always looking for is I'm looking for people who can follow directions, because with 13 to 15 readers, I don't have time for people who need their hand to be held.
yeah.
You know, I need people who can give me the information they need, who have good communication skills, and don't need me to make it happen for them. Because I'm too busy coordinating it and promoting it. And then we're also looking for people who care about the literature. I swear you can hear people who open up the mic who are doing it because they like the sound of their own voice.
Yeah.
Um, And despite the fact that I like to talk, actually I'm not really fond of the sound of my own voice. But I love the literature, and I think when people are in love with the literature, and that's what they're sharing, the experience becomes different. You can hear it
Yeah,
in the way that
I agree with you. Yeah,
in the way that they express it, as opposed to someone who is performing.
right.
Um, yeah, we wouldn't have lasted this long if it was about people performing.
So to
We just
find
wouldn't have.
out about these workshops and auditions, they can just head over to Seanchai Library and
Yeah, go
join
over
the
to
group or
Shawnee.
something.
Yeah, there is a group subscriber
Awesome.
that is there. You can send me a note. Um, uh, I recommend folks coming by and sitting in and experiencing some of a variety of our sessions first before deciding whether it's something they want to do or not. And then if they're interested, they should inquire to me. We're not always taking new readers, but sometimes we are. And we find new readers in the strangest places.
True.
So,
Okay, so on to other topics. Fantasy Fair is just around the
oh,
corner. Can you tell us more about when that is and what's your involvement in that?
Fantasy Fair opens the 23rd of April and will run through the 3rd of May, actually. Slightly longer. That's
Oh,
that's
so
when the
next
events
week.
window. Yeah, that's when the events window was. In fact, this morning the continent just opened up for vendors to go in and set up. I got a quick look at it at some of the regions this year, and oh, good heavens, they're gorgeous. Um, we started out. Actually, I started out, but then we started out participating in the Lit Fest, and have in fact participated the last 4 years. I want to say it is. We aren't participating there this year, mainly because we've moved into the role of being a region sponsor. We're actually sponsoring the region, the Isle of Shadows, that Fantasy Fair Radio is on. Because I am the off-season manager of Fantasy Fair Radio. Elric Merlin and I work in the non-fair season to try and build audience for the station, um, which hopefully we hope then also builds capacity for Fantasy Fair to raise money for Relay for Life in support of the American Cancer Society. So we're sponsoring Isle of Shadows, and that's going to be pretty cool. Actually, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm also actually doubling this year in working in operations as well, which is helping with check-in, managing the technical operation of the regions and stuff. And that's gonna be a great learning experience. It's something that I've wanted to learn more about, and David Abbott, who has been the ops manager for the fair for several years now, kindly came and tutored me through the last Dickens Project, and knows it's an area that I'm interested in, and so he graciously included me this year. So
That's awesome. I know Fantasy Fair is a fantastic event and raises a lot of money every year for Relay
mhm.
for Life. And I know there's like a little segment in there where it's the Lindens go bald or something.
Oh, it's the Linden Jail and Bail. In fact, I just did the promo for that this morning. I just did the radio promo for that this morning. We do a Wild West one. Out of the West they came. Um,
Oh, it's
uh,
not about going bald. Am I mixing up the events? I thought it was.
I don't remember any Lindens going bald,
Okay,
but
it must be a different event then. Sorry.
there's a jail and bail that goes on. At which point somebody might end up bald. It's hard to say.
This is
Um,
true. I believe Patch
uh,
Linden was in jail once at Fantasy
oh,
Fair.
yes, I think he has been more than once, I think. Oh, I think Patch enjoys every year. There's this little sort of tug that goes between the fair with the fair going, it would be really great if you offered this. And Patch going, yeah, yeah, yeah. But Patch plays his cards really close to
Oh
his
yeah.
vest. So I was actually helping monitor the donation bins last year, and and it was very much. I think he gets a kick. I would, out of sort of showing up and going, well, I think maybe we're gonna offer this. You know,
He loves to have
um,
fun.
oh yeah, and a tremendous amount of it's just wild fun, and a tremendous amount of money is raised for a really great
Yeah.
cause. So
So what are any other special projects that you have planned for the future that you can tell us about?
Well, of course, we're you know we weren't the dust wasn't hadn't settled on the region when we left it before we had. In fact, actually, it hadn't even closed before we already had plans for the Dickens Project for this year, and hoping that that's going to happen. We really want to continue, I think, to explore these fully immersive environments. One of my goals, one of the things that I would like to do, is produce a region experience around Agatha Christie's Evil Under the Sun, because it is
Oh,
set on an Adriatic island, and the topography of the island and where things happen is really key to solving the crime. And I would love to be able to do a reading series like we did with Orient Express and like we did with Death on the Nile, but really have people following us around the island as this happens, and let it be a full immersive experience around that particular piece of literature, kind of in the same vein as what we've done with the Dickens Project.
I might have to come with
Um,
my camera.
these things always have to do with accessibility for land, because I got to tell you, with the exception of the Explore projects, which had granting support, nobody's making money off of this.
Yeah.
We are not. I'd love to make have it be my living, but all the things that happen at Seanchai Library here in Second Life and in Kitely, with the exception of the Explore project, are all volunteer.
Yeah.
So we have a featured charity program because people will tip, bless their hearts, and we've raised a pretty substantial amount of micro philanthropy, little bits of money over the years that have gone to a variety of real world nonprofits and concerns. So
Well, that
um,
little bits of money is doing wonders, I have to say. You guys are really progressing well. So you were going to give me a little tour of the Shawnee
I
Library.
am,
Should we
I
head over?
am, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to turn
You
the in-world voice off so I'm not
okay?
disturbing anybody when we go there.
All right.
And I'm going to
Um,
stand. Are you going to teleport me over?
I Oh, well, actually, let me open an IM window with you so I can do that.
Okay.
That would be more convenient. Let me just stand on this table. Well, we wouldn't
That's okay. This table's used for standing most of the time, anyways.
Oh, you have to say one of the cool things right now is our featured charity has been since March. Um, for teleport, there we go. Um, since March 8th, we've been raising money for Fantasy Fair, and we actually, as of last night, had aggregate raised 150,000 Linden, and that's
Oh,
from people
wow.
dropping, essentially 4 cents US into the. Let me tell Caden that we're on the tour now.
Okay. I'm just
Um,
waiting for everything to res. And
and welcome to Holly Kai Park.
this is Holly
Um,
Kai Park, guys. I'm going to just
this is
cam
our
out a little.
fourth home, I think. We started in the west of Ireland, and then we were on CVL property on several different regions for a while. And then through the generous offer of several people, but specifically of Inara Pay, we ended up here on this corner of Holly Kai, because we're really good at creating traffic.
Inara is so incredible, I have to say.
Yeah, I love working with her.
Yeah.
So here we are on the lovely Blake Sea, and we have had essentially this same, or a version of this same building, this library building. This is our iconic library
Let me
building,
go
which
inside.
was first designed in the west of Ireland. It's a HUD-driven building. We have all sorts of things that happen to it. We have changeable roofs, changeable windows. Um, Frequently, I was going to have a set up for you here on the story floor, which is what we call this main floor,
Hmm.
but there just wasn't time this morning. Um, we have a variety of effects that are built into the building. We can do rain and thunder and a whole bunch of things that are HUD driven, mainly designed for this floor. Um,
This is
and
where you
then
have your readings every, I think it's 7 o'clock,
this is
7
where we
p.m.
have most of our readings. I say
Okay.
that because we're like people who talentedly pack their entire lives into a compact car.
Hmm.
We use space really well, and on this parcel we have, I think, 5 or 6 different venues. This is our main venue. This is really like our home base. The original library was just this floor. on West of Ireland.
I
But
feel
we also
bad.
have
It's really gray for me right now. I don't know why. Probably because I'm streaming. But hopefully it'll
probably
come in while we're just still talking. So
okay.
we're gonna head over somewhere else.
Well, if you want to cam, or we can step downstairs.
Yeah, let's step
Um,
because I can't really see much as everything is
yeah,
grayish. Okay.
yeah. Down here is the fireside room, which
Oh,
is directly below. We do a lot of informal readings down here when we're not using a purpose-built set. Our tea time, our Sunday afternoon tea time series tends to be down here. We also share the space, make the space available, I should say, to a number of folks who are sort of independent presenters. There's a group down here on Wednesday nights that is a Tales with Friends group where they read pieces they're writing and other pieces of literature out loud to each other. That was they were on in part of somebody else's program, and the program went away, and I said, well, why don't you guys come over here? Actually, I think it was Aoife Lorfield that brought Tales with Friends to us initially. um, every other week there's a group down here on Thursday afternoons that does it's listen to the music, and they do music programs where they listen to the music, but they're also looking at the score at the same time.
wow, you guys
And they
have something
discuss.
here every day.
Oh yeah, except I think usually Friday and Saturday are our thin days. That's when not a lot is happening.
Hmm.
And then we just started presenting Russell Ipanim live on Tuesdays at noon up in the Glen, where we'll eventually end up. But yeah, so it's like we've got this space, you know.
That's
Why
great.
not? So when other people don't have spaces, we try and say, well, if we think they're a good fit, it's like, well, why don't you come here?
Yeah.
Um, here are these two, which are probably our two major ones down here. We also have out here on the lanai, we have a little fire circle. That's kind of, how you doing? Is everything still gray?
Actually, it's coming in slowly now. We're good.
Oh, there we go. We've got a little fire circle out here that
Oh,
a lot, especially in the summer, we'll do really short, small, intimate story sessions out here. Um, Under the library, there are two venues.
oh wow.
One of them is right out here underneath the walk. You can see some folks are actually kind of going down there now. There is the underground, which is sort of like a cavern underneath the entryway here. There's also actually a hatch that you can open if you know the right code.
Ooh.
There's a hatch in the fireside room floor that will take you into an underwater venue.
Can we see that?
I think we can. Let me see.
Well, I don't want to
Let's
mess
take.
up your tour. Go with what you were going to show me.
Oh no, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay.
I don't actually. I don't know what's down there right now. There
Oh,
could be bodies
goodness.
buried. I have no idea.
Bodies?
Um, I don't
Jesus.
know. I never know. I
That's
work with some
hilarious.
very creative people. So let's find that.
Oh, we go from
Yeah.
here. Okay. So you just jump off the ledge over there and you go go this
Sometimes, yeah, when I don't want to mess with the stairs, I just
way.
I just hop over
Convenient.
the edge. That's right. It's like, okay, now let's see if I remember how to do this. I haven't done this in a while, so let's see if I can. Um, Open up. Uh, let's see if I can remember. I. It's all right. If we can't get it in a couple tries. Um,
I came to a show here, I think a week or two ago. That was at another venue, I think, on the
oh
region.
yeah, well we have two venues in the air. Actually, if you stand right about here,
Hmm.
and you cam down past the floor,
Okay. I'll be able
you
to
can
see it then? Yeah, why
yeah
not just cam then? Yeah.
that there's
Let's
stairs
see.
down there to
Oh, I
an
see them.
underwater. Yeah, there's that. I don't think there's anything in the underwater venue at the moment,
Okay.
but oftentimes we'll set up plants. And yeah, being here on the Blake Sea,
Cool.
it's really easy for us to prim up, and we try and keep things as clean as possible. We have two venues in the air. We have what we call the Holly Sky Box, um, and which is empty at the moment,
Okay.
and the Glen, which I think we're going to go to. But we also, for example, Death on the Nile was on its own build platform
So
on the
what was the
parcel.
venue I went to last week when I was here?
When you were here for Russell, you went to the Glen.
Oh,
We're gonna
right.
we're gonna go up. Let me let Caden know we're on our way.
Okay. How do we get to the Glen from this area? Is there like a
Well,
teleporter? I don't remember
there
how I got
is.
there.
There is. There's you can actually always teleport to the Glen, which is good because that's where all the dance devices are. So if you want to go find some pretty place to dance, the Glen is always there. And usually we're defaulted to Fantasy Fair Radio. I'm sure I'm walking into walls. Um, so if we go back out to the landing point and turn north, you'll see a stone that has a glowing green emerald in it. And if you'll get if you put your
Oh,
cursor
there it
over it,
is. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you'll get a here we go.
Click
Where
here
am
to
I off?
teleport. There we go.
Click here to
So
teleport. That will
click
take
on
you to the
that. Oh,
Glen.
wow.
Yep.
Is it really high in the
Yeah.
sky?
Yeah, we are
Cool.
now up at 2965 vertical
Nice.
here in
Oh,
the
there's people
Glen.
here already.
Yes. Corwin and Caden are here. Hey, Caden. Hey, Corwin and Rick and Sin. Hello.
I'll turn on my mic in world, but I'm not gonna. I don't know if they can hear us. Hi, everyone.
Hi there. Can you guys hear us in world?
We won't be able to hear them. I have them muted, so
Probably not.
you tell
That's
me
all
if you.
right.
So we can
That's all
sit
right.
anywhere here. We're gonna do a
Yeah,
little
you can stay
event.
anywhere here. Yeah, and
Okay.
Caden and I are gonna, I think, read a story. Oh, and Zaphod. Hello, Zaphod. Yeah.
Okay. Let me
So
cam on
Caden,
you
why don't you
guys.
let's say to Caden. So okay, go ahead and open up. Yeah, grab a chair, grab a cushion. I love this. We built this for our 10th anniversary because back on the west of Ireland, there was a large venue, the large venue on the region. Oh, and Cal's here. That's great. That was called Glennis Aaron. And when we did our anniversary, our 10th anniversary, we built a bunch of things. One was a whole sort of tunnel and cavern thing, and in each cavern it was a different year, and we had artifacts and links and things from our 10 years in that sort of walk that you could go through and explore. Um, uh, and so when we did this for the anniversary, we named it Kalura Glen, which means celebration in Irish. And we loved it so much that we begged Inara to let us keep it. And it's kind of one of our favorite secondary venues.
That's great. So are we
So
gonna get
I think we are.
Caden to join us?
I
Caden, are
think
Hello,
you
we
in?
hello,
are.
Hi,
hello.
Here he
Caden.
is.
Hi,
Excellent.
welcome.
I didn't talk too much. We actually got out of the studio, Kate.
I was listening.
Right. So we're gonna share with you a story, much in the way that we might do if you were here for a Seanchai Library session. And Caden has found a wonderful short story by Mark Twain called A Fable.
And here we go.
Yeah, and here we go.
Once upon a time, an artist who had painted a small and very beautiful picture placed it so that he could see it in the mirror. He said, "This doubles the distance and softens it, and is twice as lovely as it was before."
The animals out in the woods heard of this through the house cat, who was greatly admired by them because he was so learned and so refined and civilized and so polite and high bred, and could tell them so much which they didn't know before and were not certain about afterwards. They were much excited about this new piece of gossip, and they asked questions so as to get a full understanding of it. They asked what a picture was, and the cat explained.
It's a flat thing, he said. Wonderfully flat, marvelously flat, enchantingly flat and elegant, and oh, so beautiful.
That excited them almost to a frenzy, and they said they would give the world to see it. And then the bear asked,
"Well, what is it that makes it so beautiful?" The cat said, "Well, it's the looks of it."
This filled them with admiration and uncertainty, and they were more excited than ever. And then the cow asked, what is a mirror?
"It's a hole in the wall said the cat. You look at it, and there you see the picture. And it is so dainty and charming and ethereal and inspiring in its unimaginable beauty that your head turns round and round and you almost swoon with ecstasy.
The ass had not said anything as yet. He now began to have doubts. He said there had never been anything so beautiful as this before, and probably wasn't now. He said that when it took a whole basket full of sesquipedalian adjectives to whoop up a thing of beauty, it was time for suspicion.
It was easy to see that these doubts were having an effect upon the animals, so the cat went off offended. The subject was dropped for a couple of days, but in the meantime, curiosity was taking a fresh start, and there was a revival of interest perceptible.
Then the animals assailed the ass for spoiling what could have been a pleasure to them on the mere suspicion that the picture was not beautiful without any evidence that such was the case.
Well, the ass was not troubled. He was calm, and said there was one way to find out who was in the right, himself or that cat. He would go and look in that hole and come back and tell what he found there.
The animals felt relieved and grateful and asked him to go at once, which he did.
But he did not know where he ought to stand, and so through error he stood between the picture and the mirror. The result was that the picture had no chance and didn't show up. He returned home and said, the cat lied. There was nothing in that hole but an ass. There wasn't a sign of a flat thing visible. It was a handsome ass and friendly, but just an ass and nothing more.
The elephant asked, "Did you see it good and clear? Were you close to it?"
Oh, I saw it good and clear, O Hathi, king of beasts. I was so close that I touched noses with it.
"This is very strange," said the elephant. "The cat was always truthful before, as far as we could make out. Well, let us try another witness. Go, Baloo, look in the hole and come and report." So the bear went, and when he came back, he said,
Well, both the cat and the ass have lied. There was nothing in the hole but a bear.
Great was the surprise and puzzlement of the animals. Each was now anxious to make the test himself and get at the straight truth. The elephant sent them one at a time. First, the cow. She found nothing in the hole but a cow.
The tiger found nothing in it but a tiger.
The lion found nothing in it but a lion.
The leopard found nothing in it but a leopard.
The camel found a camel and nothing more.
Then Hathi was wroth, and he said he would have the truth if he had to go and fetch it himself.
When he returned, he abused his whole subjectry for liars, and was in an unappeasable fury with the moral and mental blindness of the cat. He said that anybody but a nearsighted fool could see that there was nothing in the hole but an elephant.
So the moral of this story by the cat: you can find in a text whatever you bring, if you will stand between it and the mirror of your imagination. You may not see your ears, but they will be there. Thank you, Mark Twain.
Yes.
That was great. Did I mute myself? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
I didn't want to disturb, so I wasn't sure if I muted myself or not. That was awesome.
I forgot that the way that my audio system was set up, I was momentarily transmitting Caden over my voice channel, but we kind of worked through that. So
it sounded okay to me. Yeah. Thank you so much, Caden and Caledonia.
You,
that was
Strawberry.
awesome.
yes,
So
this is what we do. We tell stories.
Looks like the people on the YouTube channel are appreciating it too. It's great. I think a lot of people don't know that this kind of stuff goes on in Second Life. So I'm glad that we were able to show this. And again, all of the information for Seanchai Library and also Caledonia, all the stuff that she does is all linked in the description of the video. Come and visit. I wanted to just ask Caledonia, is there anything else that you wanted to share before I say bye to the viewers?
Let's see. No, it was great to be and share to be with you today and to share what we do. We're always having people who arrive and say, gosh, I didn't know that this is something that went on in Second Life, or this is exactly what I've been looking for. So we're all about building community by sharing stories. We believe firmly that through sharing stories, we build compassion and empathy, and we move ourselves to being closer to our higher selves by engaging. We're all writing our own stories every day, but by engaging with the stories of others, we become better than just we are ourselves, I think.
For sure, for sure. And you'll be reading at the Fantasy Fair as well, right? Next week?
Actually, no, we're
No?
not reading at Fantasy Fair this year, but we're certainly maintaining a full series, and you can always find our schedule on our website.
Okay, awesome. Again, the website is linked. Thank you again, Caledonia. Thank you, Caden, and also everybody else that's sitting here that joined us today. Really appreciate you guys coming by. And thank you to our viewers for watching. Keep an eye on the Second Life community blogs and, of course, our YouTube channel for future announcements about Lab Gab. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay home, and stay virtual, everyone. Bye.